Good morning. About a week ago, I released a shortened, edited version of a conversation that Helen Barnett, a UK national news editor, and myself had when we tried to turn a fairly dry story into a press release that would work with a national news editor. Helen's a former UK national news editor, as I say, for a newspaper, and I was an editor and broadcaster and news journalist for many years too. So we saw lots and lots of press releases. The question is, could we use AI to pitch to one of us in a way that we would use it? And we found a lot of pitfalls along the way, as anyone will find if they're trying to do this. But we also discuss how you can overcome those. So I hope you find this really useful. This is going to be really useful if you're looking into detail in this topic, or you're just trying to make your AI press releases work better. Here it is in full. It's about 35 minutes long. You probably want to make some notes as you go along. I'll speak to you soon.
My name is Richard Midson. You are listening to the Public Relations Podcast. And you can always contact me on LinkedIn at Richard Midson, Midson. And this is Helen Barnett, a friend of mine who's a former national news editor at the Express newspaper in the UK. Hello, Helen. How are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm very excited to be trying this out. I think it's going to be really fun.
It's going to be an interesting experiment because we've been looking to see whether ChatGPT or AI, can actually turn news stories on its own into something that we would have accepted. Because I was a former radio news editor. Helen, as I say, is a former national newspaper editor. So can GPT come up with something that we would want to use? That's the question we're going to try and do. We're going to run this out. We're going to run this probably for about an hour ourselves, but we're going to edit this down so that you get a highlighted version of this to see what kind of insights we can pull out of it, how you can use GPT for this, where it falls down, etc., etc. What are your thoughts going into this, Helen? And also just tell us a little bit about what you do as well, just so people got a bit of background on you too.
Yes, so as you mentioned, I was an editor on the Daily Express in the UK on their website, and I was a reporter before that. So lots of experience of getting loads of press releases in my inbox. Now I am a content strategist and writer, so I help businesses work out what to say where to connect with their ideal customers. So I have been on both sides of this, writing press releases and receiving press releases. And it's going to be very interesting to see how chat takes our experience and tries to create something that we would read.
We were saying just before we started recording that we remember when we first started in journalism, and sometimes editors could be a little bit blunt with what we were doing and whether they were happy with what we did. And it's going to be interesting to see how polite we are and nice we are to ChatGPT.
You should always say please and thank you to the robots.
Right, let's get started with this. So what we're going to do then is we're going to first of all pick a story. And what we've done, Helen and I have agreed, we're going to go to PR Newswire, which, as you'll all know, is a huge source of ongoing sort of business news and all kinds of different types of news every day. And we just picked out a story that we thought, well, there might be something in it. It wasn't just hard financial news, and it might have something there. And we've both been having a look through this now. And the headline reads, Omron Healthcare donates 4,000 blood pressure monitors and advances AFib screening with AI-based IntelliSense AFib technology. Helen, you understand that immediately, don't you?
It's so clear. It's clear as mud.
And this is the kind of thing we get all the time, wasn't it?
I mean, I would literally, if I just got that in my inbox, blood pressure monitors is kind of piquing my interest, but AFib screening, IntelliSense, I would be so turned off. I wouldn't have a clue what they're on about. Yeah.
There's no story. And then when we start going through it, so this is the classic as well for me, is the headline is, so the company is proud to continue its long-term commitment to the sponsorship of May Measurement Month. And it's just, okay, what's the new angle? This is the thing. I mean, as valid and as important as monitoring your blood pressure is, I'm not hearing a new story. So for me, I'm going, well, what's my news angle? What can I use?
Absolutely. The word continue is like killer here. It's just, well, there's nothing new. I'm proud to continue. Well, I could have written this a year ago then.
Yeah. Is there anything else in there that, as I skim through it, one of the problems I'm finding is that I'm clouding over literally just reading it. I'm not actually taking in the story. It's almost like looking at too many adverts. I'm not even picking up the story.
Yes, there's something in there which got me interested about blood pressure monitors and detecting hypertension, managing hypertension, because that's something that a lot of people deal with.
Yeah, so there's a nugget of a
So-
story we're both agreed on, isn't there? But we just don't know what it really is yet, or what it is, if ultimately from a PR perspective and a comms perspective, you're trying to promote this company. We're not getting that connection.
So in the third paragraph, I've just seen something which has got me. It says, with the donation of these monitors, we're able to save more lives. So save more lives. That, to me, is where we need to be honing in on. So whatever it is that these monitors can do, we're going to save lives.
I always used to say that when you look at a press release, you look 2/3 down it to find the actual story. It's so true.
I wouldn't have got that far. Sorry.
Well, no, I
got that
wouldn't have
far.
done either. But it's like even with kind of, government documents, is that you never look at the top line, you never look at the first paragraph because it's never there. But still, the whole point of what we're trying to do here is to see whether you can use ChatGPT to actually make this better. So let me just literally highlight this story and then go over to ChatGPT. And I think my feeling, and tell me what you think as well, Helen, is that my feeling is that a lot of companies will be saying right now, well, I can just use AI to write a press release for me.
Yeah.
So what do we think they're likely to type, do you think? I mean, it's sort of, please write me a press release.
At the very basic, yeah, turn this into a press release.
Right. Yeah, please turn this into a press release. Or please turn this information into a press release. Let's try that. You can tell I wasn't a print journalist because I can't type. Information into a press release. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in and let's see what it comes up with. It's having a think about it. Certainly, here's a professional, concise, and media-ready press release version of the information you provided. And it doesn't look like it's done anything really with that, does it?
It's changed the word continue to reaffirmed.
Oh, now there's our new news hook. You were complaining about continuing and now we've got reaffirmed. I mean, my gut feeling again is I'm seeing that and I'm just going, what?
Yeah.
So if you think you can get away with just literally typing a simple prompt, I think our dull expressions sum it up on that one. I mean, do you think there's any merit in what it's done there apart from going for the reaffirm? That's interesting.
They did get rid of a bit of the fluff that the original one did have on there. So it's kind of got to a angle quicker.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very interesting. Just again, it's reaffirmed its long-standing commitment to cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
With the donation of 4,000 blood pressure monitors. I mean, it's an angle, but would I be writing that? No.
Well, I was going to say, if this arrived on your news desk, would you have touched that story? I can tell you I wouldn't.
It feels like a nib in a local paper. Nib is news and brief. So those tiny 2 or 3 paragraphs bits you get on the side of the paper. Yeah, at best. I need to know about the saving lives.
One of the other big mistakes, I think, certainly from a radio point of view, and remember that with what I was doing, we're looking at very concise stories. So simply starting a press release with the name of a company donates, I'm bored already. What I want to know is, why is this exciting? What angle have you got for me that is happening now, today, this year, whatever, that is happening about blood pressure? Then bring in the actual name of the company afterwards. Because you've got to hook me in when I'm getting all those press releases. Why should I be excited? Then put in the fact you want to promote the company. I think there's a lot of temptation in corporate press releases to really heavily try and promote a company at the top of the press release. And we're not interested. Yeah. Grab us first.
That's the thing, isn't it? We do it with my content strategy clients as well. Their audience are interested in what's in it for them, not what you are doing. So you've got to be helping people. And then it's similar with PR. A journalist doesn't care about the company. They care about what they're doing to society, how they're affecting people. How does this affect me?
So let's see if we can improve this then. I mean, what are we thinking here? So something like, that's a good start. But
Yeah,
we
you always have to be
need...
polite to chat.
Why is it we do that? Why do we feel the need to be polite?
No, I actually do think you get better answers if you say please and thank you.
Yeah, but do you remember editors when you were first starting? Were they polite to you? Exactly.
Not.
Exactly. That's a good start, but we need to make this press release more concise was our first point, yeah?
More concise and more appealing to the wider, like a mainstream audience.
A mainstream audience rather than a corporate announcement.
Yeah.
Announcement. We also need, this would be my one, we also need to focus on what is new and different. Whoops. Not the company itself. Bring the company in later. Yeah?
Yeah. Let's see what it has when you say new and different. That's exciting.
Let's just see what it does. Okay. Here's a sharper, more mainstream ready version. New home monitors can flag signs of stroke risk, now given away worldwide. It's getting stronger.
I'm liking that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're starting to get an actual top line. Yes.
Hopefully they are new, and it's not just made that up. Something I do like to say with ChatGPT is tell me when you've made assumptions. And that basically lets it fact check itself. So it will flag, I added in the word new and I'm assuming it's new, or it doesn't say that because it is new.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we struggled enough to understand the story in the first place, so it's hard for us to vet it, but checking the facts. I mean, the other one that got me was now being given away worldwide. Now, I'm not sure, again, whether that's factually correct, but the line kind of hooked me in because you immediately think to yourself, oh, can I get one then? It doesn't talk about the fact, I think there were 4,000 monitors being given away or something.
Yes, it's got that in the third part.
Exactly. But the actual line itself is now much stronger.
I'm interested immediately because it, like I said before we even put this in, it's talking about how it affects you and saving lives. So the intro is thousands of people around the world will soon be able to check for signs of dangerous heart rhythm disorder at home, thanks to a new wave of smart blood pressure monitors being donated. So it's actually immediately bringing mass appeal with the thousands of people around the world. And it's something that's like critical and urgent. So I'm immediately interested because stroke and heart attacks, obviously, very dangerous. So this is something that will help a lot of people.
And it's much better structured as well, isn't it? Because it's kind of, I mean, okay, I'm still finding that first paragraph a bit boring, but the second paragraph, the devices don't just measure blood pressure. They use new AI technology to detect possible, atrial fibrillation. I couldn't tell you what it is, but it sounds big and important. A common but often silent heart condition that can lead to a stroke. So you've got that sort of fear element in there. You've got that, I may not know about this, maybe I should. AI technology immediately makes you think it's going to solve everything. But it's starting to, rather than go into detail, it's starting to just push my buttons as a journalist and make me go, okay, well, this is interesting. It's worth me reading more.
Yes. I personally would have put that AI technology in the intro because it's such the buzzword. Everybody is intrigued and skeptical, and there's all the emotions around AI right now. Curiosity and like you're bamboozled by AI because it can do so much. You're a bit fearful of it. So all of those emotions you would get instantly just by using those two letters.
Yeah. Now, how can we make this better? Because what I'm interested in is how far you can take this. Because, I mean, one of the things I will say to people is that if you want to know how to pitch something, look at the outlet. It was quite interesting talking to students the other day, and they're kind of going, well, how do you write a perfect press release? And it's like, well, you don't just sit in a room and come up with what you think is going to be an exciting hook. You look at the outlet you're targeting, because your answers will often just be there. Read them. Study them. Look at what they say and their angles.
It would be interesting, actually, if you ask Chat who has written about similar topics recently. Can you provide links? and names, and
Who's
then that would
written
potentially
about
help.
this topic recently? It'll be interesting to see whether it comes up with something. You might have to do the deep research thing, but have recently covered and mentioned. Is that The Guardian there? Reported on machine learning algorithms. Let's have a look at that story.
Yeah, and that's from December, and it's got health editor written the story.
Yep.
Saying thousands of strokes could be averted in the UK each year.
Yeah, which is that
after
top
doctors
line you
developed
just
an
said.
algorithm. Yeah. And doctors have developed an algorithm. So this could be of interest to a health editor at The Guardian. And you could pitch to him directly saying, I saw you wrote about this in December. Here's a different angle.
My concern with it, when I look at our story so far, or what GPT's come up with so far, is that it's very similar to what Andrew wrote about. And so I can imagine that if you send that pitch, it's still not strong enough to grab his attention as to, well, why should I write? What's new about this? I mean, I'm just wondering if we just literally, and I hope The Guardian don't mind me doing this, but just copy a little bit of this and put it into GPT and say, how would I pitch this story to, I can't remember his name, Andrew Gregory, to Andrew Gregory at The Guardian, who wrote this story 3 months ago. This is going to be interesting. Is it going to find a new hook? So, as you just said, follow up to your AFib algorithm, please. I saw your excellent piece from a few months ago on. I'm always unsure about these platitudes because I get a huge number. I still get a huge number of them, even in podcasting, where people go, "I love your show," and it feels like it's just a top line that was tagged on the top because then it just goes into what feels like a fairly generic pitch. I mean, did you like
your excellent piece? Your excellent piece is like, well, did you actually like? How is it excellent?
Yeah.
I think you need to be a bit more specific. So it's the same with like lead generation in running a business. You can't just go on LinkedIn and add loads of people and just say like, "Hi."
Yeah.
You need to say, "Oh, I've seen your post on this specific thing. I thought that maybe this is how you'd be interested in what I do." I make it really personal. So I saw your excellent piece from a few months ago. The fact that ChatGPT has written that, I mean, it says it all, doesn't it? It's so generic.
But I think that also raises another point, is that I think ChatGPT will be able to generate pitches to a certain level, and everyone will be sending them out to a certain level. But the problem is, we'll all start to recognize those patterns again, won't we? A journalist will start to go, oh, that's a GPT one. Or the other problem I feel is that GPT will get it to like 70%, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a junior PR might achieve the same thing. But what's going to make a story stand out when every press release is 70% is that extra 30% on top.
Yeah. And this is where like the knowledge and the specific industry experience comes in, because as well, we're asking ChatGPT to make it new, make it interesting, make it relevant for these people. And we know what we're looking for because we're in the field, whereas somebody who's never done it before might just say, write me a press release, make it new and interesting, and they're getting an output, but they're not necessarily sure if it's ticking the right boxes.
Yeah.
So I feel like they still need to look to an expert, maybe just for sense checking. You know, they're halfway there. They just need a bit more of an input just to make sure what they're putting out there is decent.
Yeah. Yeah, Taranjeet from the PRPOI in India the other day, who was on the podcast, was saying that one of the things about AI is that, yes, it can come up with amazing answers, but do you know what questions to ask it? And that's the catch, isn't it? Is that when you've got a PR head on or a good comms head on, you can get it to gradually get there, but you still got to keep, like we're doing exactly here, where we're going, well, we need a new hook. Whereas if someone doesn't know
that's
this,
what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So the GPT is starting to get there. It can do it, but you need to know that bit. But I mean, I'm still looking at this kind of still going, it's fairly bland.
Yeah. So it's saying, I saw your excellent piece, rada, rada, rada. just wanted to flag a development, which would be a natural follow-on. In short, new AI-powered blood pressure monitors now being donated by Omron Healthcare can detect AFib during routine blood pressure check.
It's not.
It says BP check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're drifting off,
again,
aren't you? Like I am.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, it's still donating things. Yeah. The donation is not exciting me.
No. It's not clear.
I'm
wondering where you go with the prompt from this to try and get it to come up with something. I mean, unless we just literally get blunt, maybe we say, as an editor, I don't care about your company. I'm being very blunt here, but let's see what it does. As an editor, I don't care about your company. I want to know what is new and different. Then...
and how it affects my readers.
Yes. And how it affects my readers. Then you can bring in the company. But tell me why I should care about the company. How is the company having an impact directly on people's health? Something like that?
Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see if it gets sassy back.
Apparently that mindset is it's exactly what gets stories placed, apparently, and respected.
And respected.
So let's see what it says. You wrote recently about the NHS algorithm flagging patients. There's now a real-world extension of that idea. Okay, so that is leading.
Okay.
The opening's a little bit better. It's kind of saying you wrote this, but it's not just pointless platitudes anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Real-world extension of that idea. This time in people's homes. Okay.
This feels like this is a follow-up now. This feels like it's a follow-up.
Yeah.
To the original story. A new generation of home blood pressure monitors can now detect possible AFib as part of a routine blood pressure check using built-in AI. That means people with no symptoms, no diagnosis, and no reason to suspect a problem could still get an early warning without needing access to medical records. And then there's a bullet point list of why it matters to
read. Which
read.
I quite like, because then I can read it fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's putting the context in. You know, if Andrew maybe perhaps didn't know all the background to AFib, it's showing that it's got mass appeal. AFib contributes 20,000 strokes a year in the UK. 1 in 4 people have it with no symptoms, etc., etc.
But it's nice also because if I do know that, I can just jump over it. Visually, it doesn't take me more than a fraction of a second to go, okay, I know this. Move on to the next bit. Mm-hmm. It's not bogging me down the paragraph. And then what about the way it ties in the company? As part of May measurement month, 4,000 needs, and including underserved regions.
It's the first time at-home AFib detection is being rolled out on this scale, with some models including full ECG capability. So first time, that's helpful.
Yeah. And underserved regions as well. I quite like that as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
again, though, like we said, this donation of monitors and the company is not the main focus of this article. This is, for me, if I was writing it, I'd put this 2/3 of the way down about the donation. For me, it would be all about the fact that there's new generation of home blood pressure monitors detecting AFib.
So if I'm writing a radio script on this, I'm probably, if I was going to run this story, maybe there'd been some kind of news about this particular story recently, or I don't know, some other story we were running recently. I might run these statistics, but I'm still not sure if I'm going to run the Omron Healthcare and the fact that they donated 4,000 monitors. I mean, my gut reaction with a cynical journalist head on is 4,000 doesn't sound like a lot.
Mm.
Now, I don't know Omron Healthcare. They might be tiny company. They might be massive company. I don't know. But I'm not...
You need a quote. Yeah, to get Omron in there, I think you need a quote from them explaining the big overall story here. So the overall story is that 1 in 4 people have no symptoms of this AFib, but there's a new AI built blood pressure monitors to detect in people's homes. That's the story for me. And then Omron can come in and say, put the context behind it. How many lives could this save? What's the future?
I mean, one of the things I like to say to people is to get yourself involved in the actual story. So, in other words, it's a bit like when you get people that are trying to do newsjacking and just add a generic comment on top of another story. And it's like, well, why do we care about what you say? You're saying something that everyone else is saying. Presumably, Omron Healthcare have got access to data that they can then put in there. And then if they put a quote in there and say, our own research shows that 50% of people die because they haven't discovered it, you've immediately got a quote that is worth actually saying, because you want to put the credit as to, well, not the credit, but you want to source that, don't you? You want to say who said it. So then you start to bring yourself into that story. So maybe even the much higher up there would be, 50% of people, according to new data, shows that they have died because of strokes, according to, Omron Healthcare research or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other way of, because ultimately from a comms perspective, our job presumably is we would have been briefed by Omron to say, well, get us in the press. So how are we going to tie that in? We've got to get a good story to just get the attention of the journalist. I mean,
research and data is always useful, but the AI capability is exciting me because it just means it's going to be quicker. It's going to mean fewer people going to the GP. They can do it in their home. Lives saved. Everyone healthier.
Yeah, it's so much stronger than it started with. But I kind of thought this was going to be my conclusion from this whole process, is that we've managed to get it stronger, but it's still lacking, isn't it?
Well, there's no human aspect, is what I would say. And the content we were given at the beginning had no human aspect either. So I appreciate ChatGPT not making up a case study. However, if we were in the real world, a case study would be really good here. Somebody who has had this detected using this technology, because then you can put a face to it. You can start picturing who that could be in your life who has been helped by this technology.
Yeah, I'm sure if we asked GPT, it would come up with an imaginary one, but you definitely one in real. I'm just wondering whether we can actually get this. I mean, let me just ask it assume we are a PR and our job is to promote Ron. How would you ensure the pitch is newsworthy but ties in the company so that it is mentioned? Oh, this is where the real craft of PR kicks in.
I love it when it's always backing you. It's always backing you.
It always does, though, doesn't it? It's always flattering.
Great question, Richard. Glad you asked.
Yeah, but the problem with that, though, is that if you put in there, I want to put the name of my company first, it would probably come back and say that's a great idea so that you promote your company, isn't it? That's the problem.
That's true.
Reinforces bad things.
Yeah, it's like an echo chamber. It might be interesting. Sometimes I think you can ask it those open questions, like, how can I make this better? Is quite a useful question to include.
So how would you use that in just having a look to see whether thousands of people around the world start using the kind of why Omron matters here? That's an interesting heading in your pitch. This is the first time they're rolling out monitors with. No, I'm still bored.
Yeah. It says behind this is Omron Healthcare, who have donated over 30,000 monitors over the last 7 years, but this is the first time they're rolling out monitors of AI-powered AFib detection. So what? Sorry, Omron. So what?
So let's try. What was the question you were saying? So you were saying giving an open question. So how can we try that with it?
So I like to say, how could I make this better?
Make this better.
Let's give it maybe a bit more specific.
Okay.
How can I make this better for a busy journalist on a national newspaper?
On a national newspaper. I mean, should we say like The Guardian, just to give it a reference point?
Yeah.
Let's see what it does.
Great question. So it's basically given us a few tips of how to be better. So national newspaper journalists like those at The Guardian get flooded with pitches. They're skimming for two things. Number one, is this a story? Something new, surprising. And number two, can I write this quickly? Clear angle, clean.
I mean, the subject line kind of sums it up. I still think it did it better earlier. Recent cover the NHS's use of there's now parallel breakthrough, home pressure monitoring.
Parallel breakthrough. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because you recently covered the NHS's use of algorithms, so like referencing the old story. There's now a parallel breakthrough. This is just like fluff.
Yeah,
I've
it
got
should
to
have
follow
been
up.
the AI angle straight in there or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I'm actually more bored by that pitch than I was before.
Yeah. I mean, the first one I feel like was better. I like the fact that it's breaking it down with bullet points and like headlines saying what's new, why it matters, which has done it in this one as well. But it feels very dry, this new one, because it's kind of got rid of all the exciting bits.
Yes.
All the bits that make it special.
Yeah. All the adjectives, all the drama.
Yeah. So we're saying they're a busy person. So they're giving us, basically ChatGPT has come back with a shortened version, but that shortened version is like the headlines rather than the exciting bits. It's just like, here's a summary of what I just wrote, taking out any unnecessary word. It unnecessary means things like the adjectives to make it more. So it's very quick to read, but it's also very quick to just put in the bin because it's boring me.
Yeah. Well, let's draw some conclusions, because, I mean, we could keep trying to fine-tune this all night, but I think most people that are trying to use GPT for a pitch will now have given up or will have sent whatever it's probably come up with. I mean, we're just trying to see whether we can fine-tune it. So what's your kind of key takeaways for where it's good and where it's just not there yet? Or maybe it never will be.
So I like that it gave me the idea of those bullet points of the facts, so the context. So in the first example it gave us, it said like why it matters, and it gave us 4 bullet points of like the context. And like you say, if the health editor already knows these facts about the stroke risk and AFib, then he can quickly skim over that and get to the rest of the press release.
So it's good at formatting. We can give it a big thumbs up for formatting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, because I wouldn't have necessarily thought about putting context in as bullet points.
Mm-hmm. What else do you get from it?
What I've got is it's up and down with its tone.
Yes.
So sometimes it's saying, you wrote an excellent piece on this, it was fantastic. And then the next draft it's given us has basically been really straight. You recently covered the NHS's use. Right. So we've done this like 3 or 4 times now, and it's ping-ponged between each one. So even when we were saying, this is for a national journalist, I'm an editor, you're a load of rubbish, give us something new, it comes back with, you wrote an excellent piece. So those intros are
I think they're deceptive.
Unpredictable.
If you don't look through that, with our critical heads on, where we're going, well, that's rubbish because you've written a bad thing, Mr. GPT, you could easily fall for that, couldn't you?
Yeah, I definitely think if you were just a business owner without a PR team and you just need to quickly write a press release, yes, absolutely. You could just put excellent article, Andrew.
I think one
generic stuff.
One of my biggest ones on this was what we were just talking about, which is the fact that it's taken the emotion out of it. And I just don't think it quite understands the importance of touching those buttons. For us as journalists, we're looking, we're not just looking for facts. Yes, we want facts, but we need something that is going to make people pay attention. It's going to make them wake up. And that often comes down to phrasing or emotive words or some kind of angling or the slanting of it to emphasize those points. And I just don't think it's done a very good job at that. It kind of almost got there at one point, but on the whole, it's not.
You first put your prompt in, your first prompt saying, make this new and different and interesting. It came back with something which was a bit more lively. But then as we've asked it to fine tune other elements, it's forgotten that.
And I think that's so crucial, isn't it? For a busy, well, we know what it was like. We need it. It's not just the audience that we're passing this on to that needs to be touched. We need to emotionally feel it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if we don't feel it, then how are we going to sell it? How are we going to sell it to the editor? How are we going to sell it to our readers?
So far, if we are thinking that we can use GPT and add one prompt to our information and it'll come up with a great story, it'll come up with something, but it lacks format. It can be a bit deceptive and it doesn't have the emotional understanding of what a journalist needs. So we are actually finding some problems here.
Yes. I wonder what it would say if you said, what do we need to include in a pitch that will make this story get picked up?
Let's try.
I wonder if it does know.
What do we need to include in a pitch to get this story picked up? See, I wonder if it'll come up with generic things here, but it won't really understand what that means. So get this story like this picked up by a national newspaper journalist, especially someone on the health. You need to make their job easy by, mini package.
Handing them a complete, clean, compelling package. So a breakdown of your pitch, it needs to include a strong newsworthy hook in the first 2 lines. And it's kind of clarified saying, why now? Why this? Why is it surprising, new or urgent? Oh, and it's given an example using the press release. New AI blood pressure monitors can now detect stroke risk at home without symptoms.
Okay.
Yes, that's the line.
Okay, so this is interesting. So now that it's breaking it down and it's looking at a specific point, it's actually doing a better job, isn't it, than trying to come up with one complete press release.
Yeah.
Clear
and it's got the second line, 4,000. Yeah. The second line on that example is 4,000 are being given away globally as part of a campaign to catch AFib before it causes strokes, which is interesting. Yeah. Then it's saying you need to include a clear summary of what's new. So bullet points to spell it out. Reader impact, make it about them. Yes, this is what we were saying.
Yeah.
It needs to have that what's in it for me line.
So it understands what's needed. I mean, you kind of almost get the feeling that what it did here was it looked at its data set and found how to write a press release. But then what it's actually done is focused in on those bits. But the problem is that that's all well and good, but you've then got to compile that into a press release yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, this feels like it's like the most useful output that it's given so far, but it's all very bitty. So it's actually saying that this is good for people who don't really know what to put in a press release. So it's explained step by step the bits that you need to have in a press release, and then gives examples of what you can use. So then you would need to pull all that together into a press release, which if you're not skilled in it, it might still feel like a bit of a step too far, but it is useful to teach you how to put a press release together.
Yeah. But you're still going to be putting those bits together, aren't you? Not necessarily knowing whether it's going to flow and have that same angle, isn't it? I think it's been really interesting, this, because you can see how it can write well and it can produce something. But would any of that have made us go? In my job, I don't think... Yeah, I might have covered the science side of the story, but I don't think I'd have mentioned the company. Would you have been grabbed by any of that if that had landed on your desk?
I think if that landed on my desk, AI stroke detector is that you can do in your home. That's exciting. But not mentioning the company, I need something else from the company in the press release. I need a quote. I need case study. I need data. One of those things that can be linked back. So a doctor or a professor at the company saying this is going to save 20,000 lives a year. Brilliant. I will include that quote and mention the company name at that point. Right now the stuff that it's given me is lacking. It's not giving me a reason to include the company name.
This has been really interesting going through this exercise. Thank you so much for going through it with me. I really appreciate this because it's really interesting to put our experience next to GPT and say, well, some bits definitely do work, but some bits definitely don't, is what we're saying.
Yeah. I think this has been really fun and really interesting because obviously we have the expertise of what makes a good press release. So we can just kind of mark ChatGPT's homework.
Yes, quite literally. So if people want some help from a real expert, Helen, how would they contact you?
And so I'm on LinkedIn if you just search Helen Barnett, or you can look at my website, which is helenbarnettmedia.co.uk.
And of course, I will be putting all those links in the podcast episode and on LinkedIn as well. And of course, you can always reach out to me, Richard Midson, as well, if you have any questions about the show or about this episode, or indeed if you've been trying to use GPT and you've been finding a more successful way of getting it to come up with press releases. Do you think it's perfect? Do you think it's rubbish? What do you think? Do let me know. I would be absolutely fascinated to hear. For the time being, I hope you found that useful and insightful. And of course, I'll speak to you again very soon.